Hey, it's Joe. This next question is, what if the seller doesn't want me to put a sign in the yard? Okay, the sign in the yard is pretty much vital, unless it's a condo or a place where you can't put a sign. If that's the case, then you just have to deal with not having a sign. But a sign is so integral. I'd say that 25% of all the buyers that we get come from that sign. So a sign is really important, and it lets people know where it's at. Also, when people come to see the property, lets them know which property is there. So if they don't want a sign in the yard, you need to talk to them about it and help them understand why it makes sense and why it's a benefit to them. And even though it's handwritten, why we do it that way, why it's ugly, all those things. We have a method to our madness. There's a reason that we're doing all these things. And if we speak with confidence and we help them understand why we're doing it, most of the time they'll work with us. And if they don't work with us, we have to then decide whether we want to work with them. And the better you get at this, the more choosy you're going to be about who you work with. These are the important words to remember when you're thinking about working with a new seller. These words are, here is how I work. Everything, it's all about your way or the highway. If you don't do it, if they don't do it my way, we don't do it, because I know what works. I'm the expert. I'm the one who has the skill. And if you'll just trust me to do my job, I'll get it done for us. And that way you won't have to worry about it. Don't nitpick me over these little things. I'll get it done for you. And just say no. When they say, I don't want to put a sign out there. I say, well, I understand that. I can understand why you wouldn't want to do it, but here's why we do it and why it's so important. And if they still say don't put a sign out there, then you have to make a decision. Do I go ahead and take this deal or not? And if you've never done a deal and you just want to get a memo done, then go ahead and do it. And the chances that you're going to get it sold are diminished by 20, 30, 40, 50% if you don't have a sign. But and then if you have the price wrong, then that drops down to 100% that you're not going to get it sold. So you got to make sure that your monthly payment price is right. You got to make sure there's a sign in the yard. You got to make sure you got a lockbox on the door so that you can show it remotely, so you don't have to show up there and spend hours and hours showing the property. All these things are very important if you're going to have a sustainable long-term business that doesn't eat up all your time. One of the problems that realtors have is because they have to do all these different tasks that make their job 100 times harder than ours. And ours is less risky for the seller and safer for us and a lot easier for us. We could put together a deal on a whole entire lease option deal in 5 to 10 hours and make $5,000 on it. Where a realtor, he's going to put in many hours over a period of months before they get that property sold and marketed and closed. And then they've got to wait for all these other people to give permission. The bank has to give permission. The appraiser has to give permission. The inspector has to give permission. The buyer has to give permission. The seller has to give permission. All these other people are involved. If you're doing the deals the way I'm teaching it, the only people that are involved is you, the buyer, and the seller. That's it. And you're the one that's the hinge person that's putting it all together and making sure that it's done properly. That doesn't mean that you do things haphazardly. It just means that you don't put people into a risky position unless they understand what they're getting into. You always make sure that they're the one that is responsible for the value of the home. They're the one that's responsible for checking on the condition of the property, not you. And you do that by making disclosures, by making them sign a disclosure form that says they've checked those things, and giving them the option to check those things themselves. We don't want to hurt them in any way. We want them to be able to follow through, but we want to make them responsible because it'll make us more money in the long run, and it'll make it possible for us to help more sellers and more buyers because we're doing more deals in that process. Anyway, I hope that helps. Thanks. 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 I hope that helps.